Welcome to the Scottish Poetry Library at the Euros. I'm Julie McNeill and I'm joined by Hugh McMillan, and we're here in the Rose Reilly pub. And we're going to bring you some poems from some of the countries that we're going to be playing and some Scottish poets, and we're going to talk about our love of the game. Have you been to any games away?
Yeah, well, not for a long time. My last game was in Milan, watching Scotland play Italy, but the abiding memory of that trip was 2 hours on a railway carriage with 3 bottles of red wine and no corkscrew.
I mean, these are the issues with following Scotland away.
They were using nail clippers from old ladies in the carriage to try and dig away at the cork.
Okay, what about the game? Any ideas?
No, we lost. We lost, but it was great fun. Anyway, but you have been to a major championship, haven't you?
Yeah, I was really lucky a few years back to go to the Women's World Cup, and it was especially lovely because I was able to take my daughter with me. So we'd followed the whole campaign, and there was that brilliant wave of optimism that swept Scotland at that time. I mean, you know, I was sitting with my 5-year-old daughter in Hampden watching these women performing at such a high level, and it was wonderful. So we flew to Paris and she marched with the Tartan Army and sang in the street and watched us take goals off Argentina, and it was an absolutely magical experience.
You have a poem with that, I think, Julie, do you?
I do. I wrote a poem about the last game, the Jamaica game, before we went to Paris. I'll read that for you now.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. The first poem I'm going to read is The Women Before Her, and it's in tribute of the women who laid the ground for children like my daughter to play the game. The women before her. Not yet 6, she half sits, half stands, her body fizzing, fixated on the pink shirts before her. She's singing for Shelley's army and she doesn't miss a beat. 18,000 voices for our game, for our girls, for her Scotland. They show her what women can do when we raise each other. She believes in the women who save it themselves, the girls standing ready to give it laldy, shoulder to shoulder before her, lighting the way.
What a wonderful poem.
Thank you very much.
I have a much nasty, well, not nastier, but a more sort of a visceral poem, which links in with our first opponents, Germany. And it's about the Christmas truce in 1914, which many historians represent as being an English regiment and a German regiment. In actual fact, it was the Royal Saxon Regiment of the German Army and the 2nd Argylls. And so I wrote this poem about that called A True Story, and I believe this to be a true story. When some Gautkan officer told the guns to open fire, interrupting the game on Yule 1914 between the Royal Saxons and 2nd Argylls, the Germans were winning 3-2, but peace was winning forby. The moon was hanging over Plug Street like a bow blootered towards heaven, like a shared of hope amidst the carnage. Soldiers had swapped fags, food, photos. A wee game of football had devolved for a minute when the brains to murder. As they scattered, the Germans had said, "These are your guns, I think. No ours, quoth some wee wag, no long for life. It's the bastard in English. It's us they're trying to kill."
That's fantastic. It's wonderful to have that brought to life, that period of time. Of course, every time we face big opponents like Germany, we go forward with this kind of hope in our hearts, even if it's a bit unrealistic sometimes. And
we sometimes get our retaliation in first, Get that great Gordon Strachan moment in 1986 in Mexico when he hammers the goal in and then goes and cocks his leg up against the hoarding because he can't jump over it like a superstar. I love that kind of thing.
I do. I've been following on kind of all the Tartan Army pages, all these weird and wonderful ways that people get to the Euros. Do you know what I mean? Like 26 different countries and the lies they tell their families and manage to scam 6 weeks off work.
You still hear these brilliant stories, don't you? Of people who, the mythical
disappeared.
The mythical submarine that went to Argentina, and all these people becoming gauchos, llama farmers, all these kinds
never
of stories.
Come home again.
Own mines in South America, and all this kind of complete nonsense. But wherever they go, you're quite right. Wherever they go, Scots fans don't just make stories up, but they're loved, aren't they, for their...
I think so. I mean, definitely, I think, kind of welcomed in, and I'm looking forward to that. That was certainly the case when I went to the Women's World Cup. It was just such a kind of carnival atmosphere, and I'd imagine it'll be 10 times as big as that. This poem is my love song to Glasgow, the place I chose to be my home. Glasgow, my first love. Autumn has settled on Glasgow's sandstone. The sky is a brilliant blue. Clouds in soft vapour trails tickling the tips of chimneys and flagpoles. Underfoot the pavements slip, washed to a shine with early morning rain. As men in Glengarry hats and half kilts stumble their way out of the dark. My city is gleaming. First lights of Christmas wink from every bar, auburn crisp of hedgerows warm, and that sky, cobalt and pure white. I'm in love. Obviously, that's my poem about choosing Glasgow and choosing Scotland. Do you have a poem?
I've got a poem by Blaise Saunders.
Who lived a fascinating, amazing life. He was a piano player in a brothel. He was a miner, a stoker. He did all sorts of things, but he felt compelled to invent a Scottish mother. In spite of his marvellously exotic life, he invented this Scottish mother because it added that extra piece of brilliant eccentricity.
It's not about choosing a nationality, but it gives you a wee kind of indication of the surreal nature of his poetry, and I would like to say that I translated this poem.
I bet it's an excellent translation.
Yeah, I translated it from another translation. No, I didn't. But true, I translated it. So this is a Swiss poem from Blaise Saunders, who claimed to have a Scottish mother. Claire de Lune. It rolls and rolls the boat. The moon makes circles in the water. In the sky the mast is a finger sketching all the stars, making more circles. A young Argentinian girl leaning on the ship's rail dreams of Paris as she watches along the French coastline flickering lighthouses, dreaming of Paris where she knew only sorrow and now regret. These double beams circling remind her of those seen through her hotel windows in the boulevards. They promise a swift return. She dreams of returning soon and living in Paris. The hammering of my typewriter stops me from chasing this dream to its conclusion. My beautiful typewriter that clatters to the end of each line faster than jazz. My beautiful typewriter that stops me from dreaming from port to starboard, that pushes me right to the limit of an idea that is all mine.
So Hungarians famously have lots of jokes about Scottish people, and Hugh and I are going to share a few of our favourites.
I'd like to totally interrupt by telling you why this is.
Okay.
Do you have any idea why it is, in fact, that Hungarians in Eastern Europe have so many anti-Scottish jokes?
No, but I know it's the second most popular joke in Hungary. That's my fact of the day.
Yeah, that's what I told you earlier. But the fact is that many Scottish merchants who moved into the Eastern Europe, and in Poland in particular, and the Hungarians in particular like the Poles, so they moved out of the kind of Baltic area and then eastern wise, and because they were merchants and always looking for a profit, this myth of Scottish meanness spread through Eastern Europe, along with the merchants who were trading in stuff.
Stuff. Well, thanks for sharing that, mate.
Yep. Personally, all right, so like, will I tell will I tell you a Hungarian joke? It's
Go for it.
in particular. A Scottish boy sits backward on a horse. His neighbour tells him, "You're sitting on the horse backwards." "I know," the boy replies, "but it swallowed a penny with the oats last night, and I'm waiting for it."
Where'd you hear this one?
Visa.
A Scots boy is boasting to his dad. "Hey Dad, today I saved 10 pennies by not taking the bus and running next to it instead." The dad slaps the boy in the face. "You could have saved more by running next to a taxi cab."
Let's get on by telling a joke about a Hungarian.
Have you got one at least?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Good. What do you call a Hungarian composer with one leg longer than the other?
I don't know, what do you call a Hungarian composer with one leg longer than the other?
Liszt.
We should probably move on, I think. Close. it doesn't matter where people are from, really. Football has this brilliant way of bringing people together, this kind of common language. And I know that with my own children, when we go abroad, they find somebody to kick a ball with wherever they go. And
So you're going to say they find somebody to kick.
no, they don't find someone to kick yet. For lovely children, my children.
I've said that.
I'm going to read a wee poem, if that's all right, about that kind of... I mean, there's fantastic things that are going on with football clubs. I think football gets a bad name a lot of time, but particularly during lockdown, it's the thing that connected my children to other children. And even when they were far apart and couldn't play together, they were doing Zoom sessions with pictures of each other as babies, and they were doing quizzes, and they were just finding those weaves of connection. This one's called The Whistle. The only for outdoors ball thuds, smacking off the freshly painted walls, a FIFA-induced din and despair, and a floor strewn with match attacks collectibles. The small boy laps the garden, arms aloft, executing his first Cruyff turn round the washing pole. His dad teaches him Archie Gemmel's 78 for PE. Strips pulled over jammies, navigating mops of hair, socks long forgotten, get your daily dose of air. The referee blew time and the world paused. But on the sidelines, nothing really stopped. One man helped another up. The woman leaves her kids to sit and does her bit. Men and women venture out, donning masks and gloves in love, to get supplies and think of the collective. Rainbows appear everywhere, in chalk, in paint, in packages, on doorsteps left with care, in place of hugs and being there. The young girl lays out cones around the kitchen and rolls up socks to play. The boy laughs on Zoom at pictures of his teammates as new babes, and the ball rolls on from home to home across the globe. It sprinkles hope as we find new ways to be together while we hold our breaths and wait.
When we talked about this earlier on, we were talking about how football provides a common bond for people. And it got me thinking, when I was desperately trying to find a Hungarian connection, of Esperanto, which was not invented by, but inspired by a series of Hungarian poets and taken up by a Scottish poet called Bill Auld, who lived in Dollar and Clarkmannanshire, and who was nominated 3 times for the Nobel Prize in Literature.
Bit like yourself.
Not yet, but get the letter in. Get that letter in.
So are you going to give us a poem on that?
Yeah, I'll give you the Hungarian poem by Kalman Kaliski. The noonday gold is tainted copper brown. The sun with goodbye rays low in the sky. A blinking, tear and flame gigantic eye with backward gaze goes off in a slow drown. As if blood ebbs right from a heart, here lies a red blaze on the window of the house. A moment, and the spectral red is doused, and now the house lies plundered of its prize. House in the dark, no light from lamp or wood. Is the master asleep or mute for good, never to wake to ray-rich dawn again? All through the house, no light, no light, no light. The muted window fixates on the night with one dew-moistened, apathetic pain. Shall we, my darling, ever meet again? Better poets than humorists, yeah. So that poem was by a Hungarian poet who was one of the founders of the movement, the Esperanto movement, the idea of a European common language, which, you know, it's unpopular these days. It's kind of fallen out of favour, but there is an Esperanto national football team which continues to play football all over the world. They've got a 100% record in losing heavily.
Well, I mean, we can all relate to that.
Yeah. They played in Argentina, well, not Argentina, and the Armenian population of Argentina, and they lost 8-3. They played the Western Sahara and they lost 4-0.
You make this up.
And then they played a tiny little part of Chile and lost 8.
Which tiny little part?
Mapuche. That's Mapuche.
I'm glad you've done your research.
Yes, thank you very much, I have. So, but they continue to play, because hope springs eternal.
It does.
And I believe you have a poem of it.
Well, we certainly know about hope, and that's one of the things I love about following Scotland is no matter the odds, you're you just can't help but have that hope fill your heart every time. So yeah, I have a wee poem that I might share with you about that. Hope. It's always the hope that kills you. The expectations, the what-ifs, the endless machinations of margins and statistics, the I but remember whens. There's nothing logical about hope, this perpetual cycle of belief and despair we willingly and eagerly place ourselves on. We suspend rational thought, indulge in pure fantasy. We raise our team above the prize and go forward wide-eyed, full-hearted, full-bodied, foolhardy, forward, with that damned hope in our hearts again. And
Really enjoyed the chat, loved the poetry. I wonder if you could sort of finish off by reading the title poem for your marvellous book.
we are Scottish football. We're in it for the big games. We're saving our lucky seats, we're securing season tickets, the transfers, when new strips revealed. We are the buzz of club signings, it's going to be our year. We are summer games, midweek nights under the lights. We are VAR. Aye, right. We are derbies, away days, fixtures in the back and beyond, the road trips, the pack bus, the snacks, the tunes. We are, could we just nick it if we get an early goal? With the upsets, the underdogs, that beautiful overhead kick. We are, that was rubbish, but same time next week. We're avoiding playoffs, pitches pristine and waiting with that glistening net, the shine of the brand new ball. We are new managers, breaking in the new boots. We're looking over our shoulders, checking the 6 o'clock to get in the top 6. We are the pies. We're the phone-ins, opinions, the panels. What is your point, caller? With the armchair experts, the bar-propping Scotch professors, with the unbeaten run, the clean sheet. We have Europe in our grasp. We are full crowds packed out. We are referee offside, surely. We're going to do it this year. With the new songs, the big drums, the frost-bitten toes, the squeaky bums. We're extra time, just in time. Down the line, he's off his line, out of time. We are the highs and lows, and anything goes. We are Scottish football.
Lovely. Lovely, Julie.
Thanks very much.